morning, everyone. My name is Suzanne Templin, and I coordinate the webinars for Houseman Johnson Insurance. I would like to welcome you to today's webinar, The Life Cycle of a Workers' Compensation Claim, presented by Peg Kramer. Today's webinar will run about 40 minutes, and after the webinar, we'll have a question and answer session. If you have a question during the webinar, feel free to type it into the question feature, and Peg will address it during the Q&A portion. After the webinar is over, there will be a short survey we are hoping you can fill out for us. A note that this webinar has been certified for continuing education credits by the Society for Human Resources Management and the Human Resources Certification Institute. Details on those credits will be provided to you at the conclusion of this webinar. Also, please be aware that this webinar is being recorded and will be available for review on the webinar archives of our website. If you do not want to participate in a recorded webinar, you may want to close the application at this time. You will receive a follow-up email from us later today or tomorrow with a copy of the slides and with a recording of this webinar. I would now like to introduce you to our presenter for today's webinar, Peg Kramer. Peg found her way to Houseman Johnson Insurance in 2014 over a serendipitous lunch with her former coworker. She uses her 20-plus years of experience in the claims field to be a champion for clients when they are faced with difficult situations. Peg's word is solid. She is tenacious and will go to great lengths to problem solve to provide the right answers. Peg believes that Wisconsin has the fairest and most equitable workers' compensation program in the nation for both the employee and the employer. She prides herself in educating clients on what their options are under the program and how to prevent accidents, work with injured workers, and save money doing it. She has a wealth of knowledge on this topic, and we are very thankful that she could share some of her wisdom with us today. Welcome, Peg.
Thank you, Suzanne. That was very sweet. Good morning, everyone. It is a beautiful day in Madison today. I'm very excited you're spending some time with me this morning. The purpose of this webinar is twofold. I believe you as the employer need to know the information we're going to talk about to have a vital and successful workers' compensation program. I also will be giving you many tips to save money, which I think is the most successful outcome, because you certainly could save money on premium and use that elsewhere in your business. I have the PowerPoint that we'll be going through, and I might be talking off the cuff and not so much verbatim, but you have the information. I want to give you a little background about myself. I've been in the business a long time. 30 years of that were spent in working for insurance carriers, so I'm bringing you that perspective as well as an agency's perspective to you, the employer, on tips for your workers' compensation program. So here we go. It's probably going to run about 40 minutes, and then I'll take questions at the end. And here we go, the life cycle of a workers' compensation claim.
Just a second, we're having a little technical difficulty. Okay, looks like we're all set. Sorry about that, everybody.
Here we go. Life cycle. Believe it or not, this maybe sounds a little hinky, but a workers' compensation claim has a birth, a life, and a closure. And I want you, the employer, to know what is involved at each point in the claim, is ultimately any claim that occurs will affect your premium. So here we go. Okay, sorry about that. What constitutes an injury? In Wisconsin, there are two types of injuries that your employees can present to you as the employer. The first one is occupational injuries, and these are injuries that are a result of repetitive work or from doing the same work task for a number of years. The things that come to mind are carpet layers, drywall workers, construction workers, anyone that does the same type of work day in and day out. So perhaps you have a long-term worker that has worked here for 15 to 20 years, and he comes to you and says, both my shoulders, they're done. They're injured, and I need rotator cuff on each one. That's the type of claim they can present. The second one is where you have it's called a traumatic incident, and that's an example would be one of your employees fell from a ladder and broke their hip. Okay. So how do I know what to report? You're asking this question. So when your employee comes to you and says they want to file a workers' compensation claim, you do not have a choice in this matter. You would be in bad faith if you didn't take the information and report it to your insurance carrier. But prior to this process, I think it's best that you have the conversation with your insurance agent and their claim staff as to what you should do when faced in a claim. And here's a question I get asked quite a bit. Do you actually know the difference between your insurance agency and your insurance carrier? Your insurance agent places your insurance needs with the appropriate insurance carrier. Now, depending on the nature of your business, you may have several different insurance carriers. It is the insurance carrier that investigates and works with you to resolve the claim. Houseman Johnson is an insurance agency. Examples of an insurance carrier would be Liberty Mutual, Acuity, Society Insurance, West Bend. So how do I know what to report? Many types of your injuries that occur at work could be treated right there at work without you taking your employee in for medical treatment. One example would be a foreign body in the eye, which could be flushed out at a workstation. This type of situation you could report to your carrier as incident only. Your insurance carrier may want you to report all incidents, and that's why it's very important to have the procedure set up prior to the inception of your policy as to what you are going to report to your insurance carrier and what you are not going to report. When I say the carrier may want you to report all incidents, it's twofold. It enables the insurance carrier to track any trends that may be occurring for any number of reasons. It also enables you, the employer, to dial into specific areas that need to be evaluated. Here's my rule of thumb. If your employee seeks medical care outside of your workplace at a clinic or a hospital, a medical bill will be generated. You need to report that claim. Now, the Wisconsin Compensation Rating Bureau, which is the regulatory agency in Wisconsin, frowns on employers paying medical bills. And I hear this quite a bit. Oh, it's a small claim, we're going to pay it ourselves. I would not do that in any circumstances. This is a practice that they frown on, and you need to let the insurance carrier do their own investigation. I'll talk a little bit later about why that is a good thing. But most insurance carriers do have cost containment programs where they obtain discounts with many medical clinics and facilities throughout the state. And these savings are passed on to you ultimately. So let's talk about the paperwork, the employer's first report of injury. And my first question is, and I think it's simple, but it is essential. Do you know how to properly complete the state form for workers' compensation injuries? Do you know where to send the completed form? This is crucial information you need to know before a claim occurs. Time is of the essence when a claim occurs, and that's your first money-saving tip. You need to report claims to your insurance carrier within 24 to 48 hours of it being reported to you. Studies do show that the sooner you report the claim, the more money you're going to save in the long run. So here's why. Why do I have to report this so quickly? In Wisconsin, your insurance carrier only has 14 days from the date of injury to investigate, evaluate, and initiate benefits to your employees involving more than 3 days of work of lost time. Then it becomes a lost time claim. If that is not done, the insurance carrier will be fined a penalty by the Workers' Compensation Division, and you, the employer, as well, can be fined 10% penalty of the first check cut to your employee. That is not covered under your work comp policy, and that comes right out of your pocket. So time is of the essence, and you do want to be consistent on that. So let's break down the employer's first report of injury. I call it a WKC-12. It's a state form. As you can see in the upper right-hand corner, there is the address of the Workers' Compensation Division. Now, here's another tip. When you have a claim and it's lost time, sending it to your insurance carrier is the correct procedure. If it is lost time, they in turn will file that claim on your behalf directly with the Workers' Compensation Division. You do not have to report that claim to them. Also, the Workers' Compensation Division does not track medical-only claims, all right, just lost time claims. So let's look at this report and break it down. I don't like things you have to fill in. It's scary, and I always, mess up the first line. I put my last name first, and I mess up every form I ever complete. This form, let's look at the left-hand side where it says employee, employer. On this form, the most important thing that you need to complete is the employee section. Those 3 lines have to be completed in full. The employer section, that one I'm pretty lenient with. Put your name in there. Put your name, but the name has to be the name that's on your workers' compensation policy. Many of you good employers have several businesses. We need to know your insurance carrier will know you, but once again, they receive thousands of pieces of mail a day, and you want that claim to get set up as quickly as possible. So here's another tip. In the upper right-hand corner, there's a little white space there. Put your policy number in there, and with that information, they can set it up immediately. I do get quite a few calls when I submit claims on behalf of you as to what your policy number is, because, once again, you may have a business that contains many entities. So if you don't know your policy, give us a call here at Hausman Johnson. We will let you know what that is, and you can get that from us in the claims department. So on the employer section, once again, just putting your name in there. Nothing else has to be filled out at that time. Okay, on the second page, looking at the left-hand side, wage information. And that looks like a tax form. That's pretty scary looking, but here's what I suggest. If it's medical only, do not fill any of this in. Save your time. But if it is medical only, if it is lost time, please only complete the top section, wage at the time of injury and how many hours they work per week. If this is lost time, the Workers' Compensation Division, as I said earlier, monitors all these claims, and you will have to submit further information to your insurance carrier so they can appropriately determine what the average weekly wage and temporary total disability or what your employee is going to get for lost time. If you don't fill out that information, you will be hounded by the Workers' Compensation Division until you do. They monitor and keep track of how benefits are paid, when they start and when they stop. So that's crucial. If you need help with that, please give us a call here in the claims department or work with your adjuster, but that is crucial information. And then the last part of the report is the injury itself. And of course, that's crucial. When did this happen? What time? What was the last day worked? And if you know it, what's the date return to work or approximate date? That's essential. If you have a death claim, of course, you do need to call that in directly to the Workers' Compensation Division address and phone number that was at the top of this report on the upper right-hand side. And that has to be done within 8 hours of fatality. Was this a lost time claim or compensable injury? If you think if it was a specific incident, yes. If you're unsure, put no. And then if this injury occurred because of one of 3 criteria, substance abuse, failure to use safety devices, or failure to obey rules, check that if that's applicable, and your adjuster will talk with you more about that. If you know where the person was treated, put that in there. That'll help the adjuster get records quicker. Case number from OSHA, please. Don't worry about that. And then, of course, the last section, injury description, who, what, where, and when. Be brief about that. And then we need to know who you are. Put your name down there and your work number and your position, and the insurance carrier will know exactly where to go and where to start. So now what do? Now that you reported this claim, you don't have to do a darn thing. Just sit back and let the insurance company take it over. No way, no way. You've got some work to do here, and it does behoove you. So what happens from here? After reporting a claim, you should receive a phone call from a claims rep who will introduce themselves, tell you their name, a phone number, and a claim number, which is essential. These are 3 essential items you need for your records, and specifically the claim number, because clinics where your employee treats are going to ask for that number so they can submit a bill to the appropriate place. Most carriers, and when I worked in the insurance side of the business, an insurance carrier, practice or employ what is known as best practice principles. And so their hope and their goal is to have their assigned claim representative or adjuster make a 3-point contact within 24 hours of receiving their assignment. This means the first call to you, the second call to your injured employee, and the third call to, if it is known, where they are medically treating. So now what do you do? If the claim is medical only, you probably won't receive a phone call, and I'll tell you why. Medical only claims are handled by a pool of people called a medical only unit, and they strictly fast-track claims. They get the claims in, set them up, receive bills, check those bills to make sure that what they're paying, the injury they're paying for is what is stated on the first report, and they basically process paperwork. If you would like to be contacted, however, please put that on your email, fax, or when you talk to them if you feel the need to do so. But if the claim is lost time more than 3 days in Wisconsin, because there is a 3-day waiting period, you should hear from an adjuster. If you don't hear from someone within 48 hours, please call us at Houseman Johnson and ask for the claims department for assistance. So here's another tip. When you were little, you were told, don't be a tattletale. Well, now I'm telling you, as the employer, you need to be a tattletale, and here's why. Here's why knowledge is power. Your assigned adjuster doesn't know your employees. You do. Be helpful and answer all of the adjuster's questions, because whatever you help them is going to come back tenfold for you in savings that amount to dollars. You need to be very candid with them. This is personal information that's only going to go into their files. If your injured employee is one of the best workers, please tell them that. If your injured employee is one of your worst employees, you need to tell them. Tell them, please. And because if they're a problem for you, they're going to be a problem for the adjuster. So let's talk a little bit about claim adjusters. As I said, I was one in the field. I sat at a desk. I supervised for 20 years. And I'm going to exclude myself, but these people are awesome, okay? Right now, my role is different as a claims counselor, but I've worked with some of the best people there ever would be. And in today's environment, everyone is doing more with less. These people are overworked. They need to be efficient in how to work in a very chaotic and fast-paced arena, and that's day in and day out when they come to work. Besides the claim you discuss with them, they most likely have 120 or 100, 140 more claims. It's almost ridiculous. So any assistance you can give them only benefits you. And don't feel sorry for them. That's just the way of the world. But they are busy people. Now, I think the very first thing is when they call you, because your time is precious as well, and you want to help them help you. So on that first call from the adjuster, set the table. Set expectations early on that first call. What are they going to be doing? What should you be doing? What are time frames? What do I send in to you? Do I put the claim number in all correspondence? And the answer to that, of course, is yes. If the adjuster doesn't receive medical information pertaining to your employee's work status, this could jeopardize their benefits for lost time. There has to be consistency in this claim. You, as the employer, should be receiving a return to work status from your injured employee after every medical appointment. This should be coming to you. Even if they bring it in after the appointment or fax it or send it in to you, that must be done. And then this information should be faxed or emailed into your adjuster, once again with the claim number on it, ASAP. So more paperwork, paperwork, and paperwork. So what if the employee doesn't give me this information? And this happens quite a bit. Here is what I suggest. I don't need to be crass or to be harsh or cruel, but this is the employee's claim. Their job is to get better. That's their only job. It isn't anything else. It's to get better and to get back to work. So remember that this is their responsibility, and they need to own this. So if they come in, don't have a slip, didn't know anything about it, well, here's the time for an educational opportunity. So here's what I would do, and you have every right to do this. Either make your employee go back to the doctor's office and get it, or have them call their doctor's office right from your office, right then and there. Have the doctor fax the information directly to you. Do not take the employee back to work until you know what the physician is allowing them to do or what they cannot do. Let your injured employee know that you expect them to fully cooperate with the claim adjuster, and that the ultimate goal is to get your injured employee back to work with the best medical care available. And I want to say a little bit more about that. Our adjusters work, you have good employees, and our adjusters know immediately how to triage a claim if they have a difficult person or not. But there should be no reason in the world that your employee treats your adjuster badly. If that's the situation, I hope they're telling you, and if it's not, I will be telling you. You still have the employee-employer relationship, and that is crucial. These people are not special after they have a workers' compensation claim. You still have that relationship. They still are under your auspices and under your handbook. I think there's no reason that people should be skipping appointments, not getting back to your adjuster. If that's the case, you need to become involved as you are the employer. So what the heck is going on after I've done all this work and I haven't heard from the adjusters? I just feel vulnerable. What's going on? So please believe that adjusters do have a method to the madness. They really do. Remember we talked about they have 14 days from the last day worked, not when you reported, but from the last day, from the date of injury and the last day worked, to evaluate the claim, obtain records, maybe get a statement, and then make a decision and make a payment. So they are busy and constantly working foolishly fast to get this information completed. So they begin their fact finding on the following information. What's the type of injury? What are the facts of the injury? They may need a job description from you, and probably 9 times out of 10 request that so they can give that information to the doctor. Were there any witnesses? Was it unwitnessed? They also need to order medical records for current medical treatment, and let's talk about that briefly. In Wisconsin, when your employee steps forward and makes a claim, HIPAA laws are no longer in place for that injury. The adjuster, without an authorization, can request records from any medical facility for that injury without a medical authorization. Now, the adjusters do get flack from hospitals. There's a certain hospital in Madison that will go unnamed that requires an authorization for anything. That's not right. So you have to know that those records are available to the adjuster for any current medical treatment they sustain for an injury on your premise. Now, on the other part, if your injured employee has had a similar prior injury, whether it's work or non-work to the same body part, your adjuster will want to find out where that treatment was sought and obtain those records. Now is the time that they would then send out a medical authorization to your employee to sign and return with the appropriate facility's name and address. Now, we don't, sometimes everyone is not cooperative, but you want to know that information as the employer as well, because a new injury to a prior injury, same body part, can be an issue down the road. So putting all this information together is what the adjuster is doing, and they may ask your employee for a recorded statement, and that basically helps the adjuster to determine if what has occurred is compensable or work-related. Now, when I took statements many years ago, you always had to preface with saying this could be used against you in a court of law. The number of times I've seen a statement admitted would be maybe less than 1%. However, because your adjuster is handling 140 claims, they're just going to take a brief statement. You weren't there, they weren't there, but they need to know from the injured worker exactly what happened, because that information should jive exactly as to what they tell the doctor. And if it doesn't, we have a problem. Remember the time frame, 14 days, to get these payments out to them, or they can be found in bad faith. So once the decision has been made, payments for lost wages, of course, they have to make that on-time payment, and medical bills will be processed. The adjuster will speak to your employee after each medical appointment. They may assign a nurse to attend those appointments with your employee for eyes and ears there. Many times they employ their own in-house nurses, or they may hire a vendor. But that is usually for your more serious cases like surgeries, amputations, maybe questionable claims where we're not sure how well your employee is cooperating with the medical treatment plan, but they're a set of eyes and ears for the insurance company. Once again, after each medical appointment, the adjuster has to order the medical records from the treating practitioner because they won't pay a bill without a medical record for that date of service. And ultimately, there should be a natural progression of healing with work restrictions, if given, decreased after each appointment. Let's talk about your naughty employees. I bet you don't have any, but I bet you do. Okay, so Houston, we have a problem. Remember those naughty employers you were going to fire just before they had a work comp claim? Well, now you can't. And so what do you do with them? Once again, you have every right. You're still the employer. Rules and regulations still apply. The only thing is that they've had an injury, and you're taking care of them through your work comp program. So what if your employee skips medical appointments or postpones and reschedules? I don't think that's right. I think as I said before, their job is to get better. That's their only job. You're getting them the best medical care that money can buy. It's their job to get better. If that becomes a problem, your adjuster will usually let you know about that. And once again, I ask you to intercede as the employer. It's only costing you money by skipping appointments and elongating the claim. There's no reason that they should be skipping appointments. Yes, life things happen, but guess what? Their job right now is to get better. And once again, it's costing you money. So what if you, here's another point that comes up quite a bit. What if you hear rumors of off-site activities that occur and are witnessed by other employees? Hey, I drove by Jack's place and he's up there roofing the barn, or I saw him working on his car. And that happens all the time, especially in smaller communities. And I'm sure some of you have seen plenty of phone videos where people on workers' compensation are caught, playing softball or playing guitar at a bar or whatever. And these do come true. So here's what you do. You need to contact your adjuster immediately for discussion if these are repetitive complaints that you hear. And once again, if your injured employee has a 20-pound weight restriction, yet the coworker sees them carrying their 5-year-old 50-pound grandchild, either you or the adjuster needs to remind them that work restrictions are 24 hours a day. It's not the work day, it's 24 hours a day. And ultimately, any information received from a coworker must be put in writing and signed by that person. A lot of people won't do that. They don't want to get in trouble, or they may fear the other person. It cannot be hearsay. With that information, usually, and I'm talking off the webinar here, the adjuster can approach the doctor with this information. Of course, the doctor's going to get really ticked because, doctors hold their patients in high regard. They have to write down everything these people say, even if it's a lie. They have a Hippocratic oath, and they don't want their privacy infringed upon. But once again, I think a doctor should be aware if people are not working in the restrictions given to them, and that's failure to comply with medical treatment. In workers' compensation, Statute 102.42 indicates that your injured employees will cooperate fully with their medical treatment plan. Going outside their work restrictions is not. So this, once again, affects you. And here I'm going to get on my soapbox a little bit. We're talking about employees. They're not always naughty. I want you to know that please realize that not all claims are fraudulent. In my 30-plus years, I have heard many employers say, well, this claim isn't right. This is, I'm totally questioning this. This is not wrong. This didn't happen. I'm glad, and I want to hear your opinion, and so does the adjuster. But remember, they have to go on the facts. They have to be that impartial party that gets all the information and does the due diligence to establish if this claim is compensable or not. When I say compensable, that means is it work-related. So injuries do happen in the workplace. once your insurance carrier starts paying indemnity benefits or lost time benefits, they can't just stop without just cause, because this is highly monitored by the Workers' Compensation Division, and we talked about that earlier. Through reports filed online by the adjusters, the Work Comp Division knows or needs to know when benefits start, stop, or change in type. So where does this money come from? I pay all this premium. I've never had any claims, and what's the insurance company doing with that money? Where is this money coming from? And this isn't a crazy question. In fact, I was meeting with the prospect yesterday, and they asked about what happens not only with a claim, but where does the money come from when a claim is being paid. So when a claim is set up that involves lost time, I call it, there's two pots of money called reserves established on that claim. And this is what directly affects you, the insured. It's what's paid out and what is pending in the reserve that goes into your experience mod calculation and determines the premium you pay. So this is another money-saving tip that you want to be aware of. This money actually reflects what the adjuster's best projection for what the probable cost of the claim is going to be from start to finish. Now that's very hard to do because we all heal differently. If they have pre-existing conditions such as hypertension, they're overweight, or diabetes, that may take a little longer for that person to heal. But money is drawn from these reserves for lost wages and medical bills. So they set the two banks of money aside, and as bills are paid, those reserves go down and the payments go up. So the amount of paid bills and remaining reserves is what directly correlates to the insurance premium that you pay. Now, 18 months from the start of your policy date, so let's say you're insured with Houseman Johnson from 1/1 of 17 to 1/1/18. On July 1st of 2018, all claims for the prior policy term, not the one you're in, but the prior policy term, are reported to one of two regulatory agencies that control your premium. And for claims in Wisconsin, it's the Wisconsin Compensation Rating Bureau. For businesses that do work outside of Wisconsin and do work in other states, it's the NCCI. And this information reflects your claims history. So in a perfect world, it would certainly be desirable if all the claims in that policy term were closed prior to the reporting date. But that just doesn't happen. We don't have a perfect world. So that means for you, your insurance agent, claims staff at the agency insurance carrier are working in sync for you. We want to housekeep or scrub, as one of our precious agents always says, the claims prior to that reporting so that the clearest and cleanest information goes in on your behalf. So if the insurance company is holding claims open longer than they should, that's where I get involved and talk with them. Do they have higher reserves than what I think they should have in a claim? That's when I intercede on your behalf too. In setting reserves, it's almost an art. It's not a science. It's not like an underwriter who can go to a book and say, okay, ABC company has lumberjacks and they have clerical. Well, there's one code for lumberjacks and one for clerical. So with reserving, there isn't a book that the insurance carriers, adjusters can go to. It's based on their history and their knowledge of working claims. So they basically know what's a broken arm going to cost you, what's a rotator cuff going to cost you, what's a hernia going to cost you, what's carpal tunnel going to cost you. This information is based on history. And you may see a difference in what a broken arm costs in Superior than what a broken arm costs in Milwaukee. So these reserves are reflecting what they think is going to be paid out on the life of that claim. Cost containment programs. Remember, I kind of harped on you about not paying your small claims yourself. And there's a reason for that. Insurance companies do have cost containment programs that they use to pass savings on to you, the insured. They contract with many medical facilities for what they call preferred provider savings. These programs include contracts with hospitals, clinics, physical therapy centers, prescription programs, and diagnostic studies such as MRI, CAT scans, EKGs, EMGs, and they may get up to as high as a 30% discount, some 40%. Usually I would say the savings probably runs about 17%, but it depends on what kind of contracts they can partner with these local facilities. So if you think that it's a good idea to pay your claims, it's not, because what if you could get savings on these bills by turning it into your insurance company, and by paying out of your pocket, you certainly won't. So don't do that. Now here is another big money saving tip on, I think it's the best way you, the employer, can save money. The first one, of course, was submitting your claims on a timely basis. Now let's talk about return to work. And that's a fancy term for just talking about getting your injured employees back to work as soon as possible. Now, as I said, the majority of your claims are going to be medical only where there isn't lost time. But if you have a lost time claim, that's the clinker that drives your premium up. So in Wisconsin, any medical claim that you have where there's no lost time at all, your regulatory agency in Wisconsin is the Wisconsin Rating Bureau. When your claims are reported to them after 18 months, you get a 70% discount on that claim. So that's why you don't want to pay these claims yourself. So ultimately, if the insurance carrier paid out on a $1,000 bill, paid out of $1,000 for a cut arm, you're going to get a 70% credit when that goes into the state regulatory agency. So only $300 will be reported. And the reason is several things, I think. It's an impetus for you to report all your claims. They realize that there's going to be claims on your facility, at your business, and the majority will be medical only. And these aren't usually a serious claim. So they're kind of giving you a break. And with what a return to work program would do, now I'm talking about lost time claims, is act as having a medical only claim. Having a return to work program is to give you the incentive to find temporary light duty work jobs for your employees to return to work to after an injury. By employing this, you can still get a 70% credit on your lost time claims, and I'll talk about this further. So to keep a claim medical only, on the 4th day of lost time, and this includes Saturdays, work comp in Wisconsin pays Monday through Saturday, even if your employees work a 4-day work week or a 5-day work week. That's just how it's paid out. So on that 4th day, when Joe or Joan goes to the doctor and they've sprained their knee and they can't come back and do their regular job, we ask you, the employer, ahead of time to find some opportunities where you can bring your injured employees back there given work restrictions by the doctor, and they most likely will if they have a sprain or a strain. The doctor is going to put them temporarily on maybe no lifting. A work restriction example would be can't lift over 20 pounds for a week, can't bend, can't squat, can't reach up, can't work ladders. That's a work restriction, okay? And that's what you need to know. But it's also good for you to need to know what they can do. So that's where you're going to be working with the doctor's office. But once again, on that, if work restrictions are given and they can't go back to their regular job, I don't want to hear you say, well, I don't have any work for them to do. To save you money, and this is saving you money, if at all possible, create some type of temporary job that person can go back to work to by the 4th day. That way you can keep your claim medical only. There absolutely cannot be any discrepancy in their paycheck. If you can get them back at their regular hours and regular pay, that is the goal. Now, once again, restrictions may include physical limitations. Maybe they can't stand for an hour on the line, or maybe they need to sit. As long as the work isn't demeaning and is within their physical limitations, anything is fair game. You can even put them on different shifts. So this requires you, though, to find temporary jobs ahead of the injury. Examples would be, gosh, I had one account in Madison here that saved every bit of paperwork so that their employees could stand or sit in their regular work schedule and shred paper all day. And they kept a lot of people busy, and miraculously, some of these people went back to their doctors and said, hey, I think I feel better. I don't think I need restrictions anymore. So sometimes it can be a great way for people to heal faster, miraculously, and get back to their regular job. So that is one way to get your people back in the door, saving you money by keeping it medical-only claims. Once again, people are creatures of habit, and they like schedules. Even if they absolutely hate the people that they're standing or working next to, they're still creatures of habit. And I would rather see them come back to work than to start a disability lifestyle. And to me, that's sitting on the couch and watching whatever programs are on in the morning, and start having their families work, wait on them wait on them continuously. So it really behooves them mentally and physically to get back to that workplace. So in Wisconsin, our workers' compensation laws dictate that all medical treatment related to the work injury will be covered until that treating practitioner has released the worker from care. Now, what if that goes on and on and on? And sorry, but that's going to be a whole other seminar or webinar we can talk about. Now, some injuries may take years to conclude. If you, sometimes shoulder claims can take up to a year. People fall from roofs and break their feet, calcaneal fractures. Those might take a couple years, but everyone is different in their healing period. But realize in Wisconsin that the statute of limitation is 6 years from the last indemnity payment. And although you may think this was long, up until a year or two ago, it used to be 12 years. So as long as they're in active medical treatment and they are not able to come back to their job, weekly benefits are going to be continued to paid in all their medical bills. So that's why we talked to you about a process such as return to work. There's also a requirement within the state statutes that if your employee misses more than 3 weeks of work, at the end of their claim, their treating physician or surgeon must prepare a final report that has to go to the Workers' Compensation Division before this claim can be closed. And the Workers' Compensation Division, before any insurance carrier will close their claim, the division has to close their claim first. And I want to tell you right now that sadly, because we are doing more with less, right now the Workers' Compensation Division is about 3 months behind in reviewing their correspondence. I just want you to make aware of that, because that is a reality in our world. And those people are doing the best that they can, but obviously they don't have enough people to do, their job. So that, if you ever wonder why that adjuster isn't closing the file, you need to call me. But by giving you this information, knowledge is power, and I want you to know what your adjuster is faced with. Also, if any of the following have occurred due to an injury, there will be additional benefits owed. And in the workers' compensation arena, those are called permanent partial disability. Okay, that's not a lifetime award. It's a kind of compensation for people that have had an amputation. My hand was chopped off. I'm not going to grow a new one. So the work comp arena has a way of rewarding people if they'd had amputations, a bone loss. I cut part of my finger off, loss of range of motion. I had a spinal fusion, and I can't turn to the left, I can't turn to the right. Sensitivity to cold, chronic pain, shoulder or back, we see chronic pain quite a bit, and then specific surgical cases. And what I mean by that is, in Wisconsin, if you injure your knee at work and you tear part of your muscle called the meniscus and have surgery, your adjuster has to pay, there's a state mandated award for that type of injury. And same with when they have surgery to their back and discs are removed or fused. All of that is clearly listed in the workers' compensation statutes, and your adjuster has no choice and has to comply with that. As I said, this isn't a life award, but it's paid out. It should be monthly. I have weekly in there until concluded. So your doctor, your employee's doctor, is the one that awards the percentage of disability, and that is multiplied by the body part. And every part of your body is worth so many weeks. For instance, if you had your hand amputated, that's worth 400 weeks. So let's say the doctor, you lost your hand, that's 400 weeks. That's going to be 100% loss. So you take 400 weeks times a yearly rate of permanent partial disability, and you're going to get your total award. That is paid out monthly until that is consumed, and at that point then the file can be closed by the work comp division because the adjuster has notified them that the benefits have been paid. They'll close their file, and the adjuster can close theirs. But it's not really a settlement, is it? I call it an award. It's due to people that have had injuries that we've talked about listed on the slide. So let's recap our roles. The employer, you report your claims as soon as possible. It will save you money, I'll guarantee you. You need to stay involved and in contact with your injured worker. And here's probably the most comments that I dealt with as an adjuster or manager when we talk to your injured workers. I'm talking about the insurance carrier side. Their biggest complaint was, well, I never hear from my employer. I don't think they care about me. I don't know if I'm going to ever go back to work there. I don't know if they want me back to work. Once again, you are allowed to keep that relationship as employer-employee. You need to be in contact with them so you know what's going on as well. You need to stay in contact with your claimants adjuster, and please have a return to work program in place. If you don't know what that details, please call me after the webinar. I'd be happy to talk with you. It's not as hard as it appears, but does require some proaction on your part. The injured worker, what's their role? Well, first and foremost, they need to know who to report injuries to when they get hurt. They also must be aware of or informed of who they should be reporting their injuries to at your workplace. They need to be compliant with medical treatment prescribed by their physician, or they can jeopardize their benefits. They need to cooperate fully with the assigned adjuster. They need to return the calls to the adjuster. And if that's going to be a problem, I ask you to intercede. They also need to keep you up to date on return to work statuses and get you those slips, or have the doctor's office get you their slips. And what about the insurance company that you pay all that big money to? What are their obligations? Prompt contacts to your injured worker and treating physician. They need to investigate the legitimacy of the claim if it is questionable. They certainly need the claim to be go in a progressive manner, and if not, I get involved, and I want to hear from you about this, or I may get involved on your behalf in letting you know. But I'm able to follow the adjuster's notes on their website, so I'm shadowing the claim as well as the adjuster working the claim. They need to control the cost of the claim by using their cost containment programs. When I go into their websites, I see that they're using these programs, and they pass those savings on to you. They need to keep you informed when appropriate. If you are not hearing from your adjuster, I need to know about that, or your agent, please. They need to be communicating return to work information to the treating physician. This is where you can send job descriptions or let your adjuster know what you have available, and they will coordinate that with you in the physician's office. And they need to continuously educate you, the employer, and the injured worker on the claims process. It's something that they're the experts in, and you have enough to do in your day, so please let that adjuster do their job, and if you need help, that's why we're here to make this as easy for you as possible here in our claims department. So with that, I've talked a long time, and I hope you have some questions, and let's talk about that.
We do have some questions that came through. The first question, and I just want to go ahead and get this out of the way, will we be sending out the slides after the presentation? Yes. You will be receiving an email, like I said, later today or tomorrow with a copy of all of the slides, the presentation, and a recording of today's presentation. So let's just get that out of the way. The first question we received is, can you please talk about chronic conditions that exist and then the employee is injured? For example, diabetes, high blood pressure, the doctor says are at least partial cause of condition.
Oh, great question. I hope I'm understanding this correctly. So in Wisconsin, the law is you hire the person as is, warts and all. So if they come to you, and many people do, they have hypertension, high blood pressure, diabetes, epilepsy, whatever, you take them as they are, okay? And so if they have an injury and they have these pre-existing conditions, it may take them extra long to heal. Your insurance carrier and you, I'm talking about a partnership here, owe benefits to them until they recover from that work injury. Also, if we've aggravated or accelerated or precipitated, and that is in Wisconsin, any pre-existing injuries, let's say they worked for someone else for 10 years and now come to you and are injured there, once again, the insurance carrier and you are responsible for those benefits until they're back to their pre-existing pre-injury status.
Our next question is, what if medical records are not sent timely within the 14 days? How can the carrier make the decision without the records of which they have no control over?
Well, that is a great question. In Wisconsin, to avoid bad faith, your insurance carrier will make a 1-week payment of temporary total disability and then suspend benefits. That upsets some of you because you may be questioning the claim. However, to avoid bad faith, that carrier has to make a 1-week payment and suspend benefits. Good question.
The next question, we have a lot of really good questions. Thanks, everybody. The next one is it best to assign employees to light duty versus a lost day? We have no light duty work, but have them report to work. What are your thoughts?
Absolutely. You want to keep a claim medical only if you can. If you don't have light duty, what you can do is tell your adjuster that, and they will try to coordinate work for your injured employee at perhaps a nonprofit center. You continue to pay their wages, but they literally get up and go to work for a nonprofit agency such as St. Vincent's or St. Vinny's Goodwill and store clothes, or doing something of that nature. But you continue their wages as if they worked for you, and you keep that claim medical only.
When does the claim end if the healing has been completed, but the employee may have a flare-up now and then, as in a back injury?
Oh, yeah, and that does happen. All injuries, believe it or not, whether you have medical treatment or not, your body naturally does heal itself. So there is, once again, a beginning, a life, and an end. That is declared by the doctor when end of healing is reached. And that's why doctors put people on work restrictions. We have seen many times where a person will have an initial claim and then maybe a year later has back problems again. Then the insurance company comes in and does another investigation to determine, is this a new incident or is it related back to that injury, and then benefits are started again.
I'm just putting up the CE credits in case anybody needs to jump off. You can at least get the CE credits, but we're going to keep going with the questions for the next few minutes here. If the employee is released to return to work after 3 days, but it's on a Saturday and we don't work on Saturdays, is it then a lost time claim?
You bet. You bet it is. Wisconsin pays based Monday through Saturday in a 6-day work week. So a lot of people don't know that, but yeah, or let me back up a little bit. If they were released to return to work, I'm not sure how that was read, but were they released to return to work or off?
if if they are released to return to work after 3 days, but it's on a Saturday and we don't work on Saturdays, is it then a lost time claim?
They're released. You're telling me that that person is released. So if they're released to return to work, you're okay. However, if they're not, that's the fourth, or that's considered to be lost time. Yeah, you're going to open that Saturday. So that's why you want to offer them work. Had they worked, had you had the work available, and you have the right to tell the adjuster that maybe you had work available, but you're saying you don't. That's a tough one. Yeah, it's going to be lost time. Sorry.
And if we, for whatever reason, don't get to your question, or you don't feel like it was answered, or you have follow-up questions, I'm going to put Peg's information up here again in just a minute so that you can reach out to her. We have a few more questions and just a little bit more time. If the employee has the right to choose the provider, then what is the point of the preferred provider from the carrier?
Well, here's what many employers do is they affiliate themselves with a local clinic, and so for initial treatment, you can have that person taken, to your affiliated clinic. But remember, they have two choices under the law. So I'm talking about these contracts are with the majority of the medical facilities here in Wisconsin. So if there's a clinic out there, the insurance company uses a vendor to contract with these people. They more than likely are on that list. So most of the bills are reduced that I've seen come through.
Okay. Is workers' compensation allowed to stop payments on an injury? Why is this? Is workers' compensation allowed to stop payments on an injury if the employee is still being seen by their physician and being given work restrictions?
Yes, that happens when an independent medical examination is done by the insurance company. This is where the insurance company, and they have the right to do this under the law, have someone seen by their physician, and that physician comes back and after evaluating your injured employee and says, nope, you can go back to work today, no restrictions. That's a question that it leaves, sadly, people in the lurch. That's when you want to contact our human resources professionals here and talk with them. And please contact me for that information and assistance on that, because you do want to take some steps, because you're probably going to run into FMLA then, and those streams cross quite a bit. But please contact us and we'll guide you through that process.
Does the employee on workers' comp stay on the health plan, or are they given COBRA paperwork? If they're an employee less than 1 year and do not qualify for FMLA and are not actively at work, do we offer COBRA?
That's a question that our HR professionals need to address as well. Many employers, and it's up to them, it's up to you how long you want to keep someone in your health plan. If it's a short injury, you usually do. If we're talking a longer time period or they haven't qualified for benefits yet, I'm going to, once again, get in contact with me, and I'll hook you up with our HR professionals to guide you through this process as well. A lot of these topics intertwine, and I do work daily with human resources and loss control, because these questions do involve our other departments as well.
Can an employee be disciplined for not providing information requested by the adjuster?
No, they really can't, unless it's in your handbook, but I've never seen it in the handbook. I just think it goes to their attitude and to their morale and their moral, and that's when I like to see you. I like to see you as the employer involved, because why aren't they cooperating? What is the problem? And that goes to their character.
Can you how can you pre-qualify pre-existing conditions prior to hiring?
Oh boy, it's very hard to do, because you can't ask people anything nowadays, and it's very, unless you're doing pre-employment physicals, and those are costly, it's very, very hard with the questioning out there to discern whether people have had prior injuries. And I hope I'm answering that question correctly.
And again, if, to the person who asked that question or any of these questions, if you need further guidance, please use the contact information that's on the screen right now. Our last question that we have time for is, can you touch a little bit on drug testing prior to injury?
That's one where I would also get our loss control people involved. I think prevention does go a long way, and some of our employers use this policy. But there are new laws under the workers' compensation ruling about people injured at work while they are in substance abuse or alcohol. And I would once again direct you to please contact me for further discussion on that, because I would get our human resources involved in that as well. And once again, a lot of these questions cross into the realm, and as I said, I work with our HR and loss control staff daily on these questions, which are all great. And thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yes, thank you to everyone for being so attentive and really involved in today's webinar. And please do reach out to Peg if you have further questions or you want to follow up with her on anything that was discussed today. And we hope to see you next time. Thanks, everybody.